Okay, so that might sound like a really weird title to put onto a podcast for the health industry. Make it sexy and they'll buy. But it's so true. And I'm going to explain to you after this quick little snapshot right now exactly what I mean by that phrase. All right, so for those of you that are watching this rather than just listening to it as a podcast, you will notice that it feels like a little bit more of an exotic location than I normally have, and that's because we are actually flooded in at the moment with the huge rains and the 1 in 100 year flood. So we've been stuck for day 3 or day 4 now. Got another 4 or 5 days at least ahead of us. And I thought, you know what better time to utilize our beautiful surroundings here and cut some podcasts and give some more value to yourselves. So let's get stuck straight in, because a little bit about the topic today is all about the fact of make it sexy and they'll buy. Just like the beautiful, sexy scenery behind me with the beautiful pool and the blue sky and that type of stuff. Yes, the rain stopped yesterday afternoon. So make it sexy and they'll buy. What it's all about? Well, glad you asked. Simply put, if you stop and think about how we phrase things, how we try and ultimately sell in the health and medical industry, it's not a very enticing or, it's not a really desirable type thing. Like people don't wake up in the morning, roll out of bed, have a big stretch and say, oh, I can't wait to go and buy some podiatry today because my corns and my feet are ugly and horrible. They just don't. They don't, finish having breakfast, overeating, and then go, right, let's go and have an appointment with my exercise physiologist because I'm fat and I've got diabetes. They just don't do it. And so a lot of what we actually ultimately sell in the health industry and the medical industry is not really sexy. It's not really desirable. People want to be desirable, as in they want to be able to get on top of their, chronic disease states. They want to be able to, lose weight. They want to be able to move more freely. They'd like to be able to have better performance in the sporting field or exercise-wise, or be stronger or fitter or, whatever, more appealing to the opposite sex. They're desires that they want. But so many times, in fact, most of the time, what people in our industry actually do is they actually go ahead and they don't actually market the desires. What they actually do is sort of market the service. They market the name. They market, let's go and, talk about how, do you need physiotherapy? And I mean, look, being completely honest, some people don't even know what physiotherapy is. There's still a lot of people that don't know the difference between dietitians and nutritionalists, or they might go the exercise physiotherapist because they don't know that there's a physiotherapist and an exercise physiologist and that they are actually different. And so what you've got to stop and think about is not actually marketing the name or the title or, the expertise, like you're an expert at, you might have, you're a clinical blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what matters is how you make them feel and the fact that you can press their pain point, get them engaged, and you can sort of step them forward and want to actually know that they're going to get the solution that you've actually promised. And so if you think about the words that we use and you think about the way in which we push things forward, the way we market, the whole sales game, and obviously sales and marketing are very, very different. Don't get them confused. They're very different and need to be approached in a very different light. But what you'll actually notice is that so much of the language and so much of the approach that you're taking, just like most of our colleagues in the industry, is that we're taking a very sort of non-structured, non-methodical way forward. But even if we are in a little bit of a methodical way forward, we aren't putting our best steps forward to make it sexy and desirable. And it's ultimately the sexiness and the desirable side of things that people are actually wanting and people are actually buying. So as I was saying before, it's a really simple avenue. We just have to stop before we go to market, before we do the sell, before we put avenues out in place. We have to actually stop and think about our language. And you have to ask yourself, am I actually selling the desirable outcome they want? is this the solution that people actually hear this or see this or read this or engage with and say, yeah, that's me, or hey, that's what I want? Because ultimately, that's exactly how these things need to play out. We need to be in a situation where we can make it sexy, all right? Turning around and having a session like an initial consult is really boring. It's not sexy. That doesn't make anyone desire to go, yeah, I want to have an initial assessment. What they do want to do is they might want to have a game plan strategy session. What they do want is they actually want to have a session that might be called something like an injury solution intensive session, right? Now, you might be sitting there going, it's just a couple of words, sounds silly. Well, yeah, it might sound silly, but it sounds desirable. It sounds a lot more sexy than, come in, let us see you for an initial assessment. We will make you do range of motion, and we will do this and that, and please bring all your scans, and we will do, and it just looks like they're reading from a script like Telstra used to overseas, and everyone got the shits. So here's the thing. What are you doing right now that makes things sexy, that makes things desirable? What are you actually doing at the moment that is going to have people more appealed towards what you're actually selling? You've got to make it sexy. If you're trying to sell an online course and it's increase your running performance, people go, nah. But if all of a sudden you sexy that name up and you start turning it into the ultimate half marathon runner's guide, all of a sudden we're using keywords. We're getting words and phrases that make people go, whoa, that's exactly what I need. Like, that's the ultimate. It doesn't have to be. It might sound like smoke and mirrors, and in many respects it is. But guess what? Some of those smoke and mirrors, as long as it's not lies and unethical, the smoke and mirrors effect of creating something to sound sexy is one of the smartest ways for you to be able to get your marketing and sales to have more cut through. Have more cut through, more organic reach, more people actually wanting to engage and getting involved. And then it comes down to how you actually sell from there and how you convert. But ultimately, you can't even get to the selling and conversion process if you don't have the marketing on point in front of the people that actually need it. And we know that people don't engage with things that are boring. People don't engage with stuff that isn't desirable. What they do engage with is they engage with like the solution, that I want this, I need this. People don't want to have a program or sell a program, buy. They don't want to buy a program that's going to give them strong glutes, because they go, nah, half the people don't even know what glutes are. But what if you make it like, and this is an example from a conference we did probably 6 months ago, we were chatting about this, and one of them came up with, why don't we do with it like a Beyonce booty building running program, something like this. So it was like a Beyonce booty building program. And so all of a sudden, as funny as that might sound, and you might be sitting there going, well, I don't want a booty like Beyonce. There are a lot of people that do. And it's a lot more of the accepted, rounded, big butt type scenario that's a lot more in fashion, so to speak. And so think about what is in fashion. Think about the desirables, the influences, the people that others want to be like. The actual solution that people are wanting, the outcomes that they're actually wanting, and make something sexy and desirable built in and around that. Because ultimately, sex sells, and the sexiness of headings sells. The headlines, the eye-grabbing attention of what is initially seen or read or heard or felt, said in the right way, is actually going to get more eyes on the prize. You're going to get more on your marketing, and you're going to get better results as a net result of that marketing. And then you're going to have more reach. You're going to be able to put a greater avenue to sell more, and obviously have more impact from there. So think about all of your marketing, not just your general marketing with, like a social media post, but what are you calling your programs? What are you calling your group sessions? How do you actually phrase your consults, etc.? Because this has a massive bearing on what you put out, what your team says and does, how they actually act towards consults, what goes on websites and your digital footprints, what's set in sales scripts, and so much more. Guys, seriously, you have to make it sexy. Sexiness and sex sells. You don't have to be dirty. You don't have to be unethical. You don't have to be unmoral. You don't have to break any rules or regulations. But there is nothing to say that you can't sexy up some names, because the more sexy things are for your programs and your standard boring services, the more people are going to buy. It's as simple as that. Have a great day. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.